The Flaming Terrapin by Roy Campbell. Part 1. Maternal Earth stirs redly from beneath her blue sea blanket and her quilt of sky. A giant anadyomene from the sheath and chrysalis of darkness, till we spy her vast barbaric haunches, furred with trees, stretched on the continents, and see her hair combed in a surf of fire along the breeze to curl about the dim Sierras, where faint snow peaks catch the sun's far-swiveled beams, and, tender to his rays, the mountain streams kindle, and volleying with a thunderstroke out of their roaring gullies, burst in smoke to shred themselves as fine as women's hair, and hoop gay rainbows on the sunlit air. Winnowed by radiant eagles, in whose quills sing the swift gales, and on whose waving plumes flashing sunbeams ignite, the towering hills yearn to the sun, rending the misty fumes that clog their peaks, and from each glistening spire fling to the winds their rosy fleece of fire. Far out to sea the gales with savage sweep churning the water waken drowsy fins, huge fishes to propel from monstrous sleep that spout their pride as the red day begins. We are the great volcanoes of the deep. Now up from the intense creative earth spring her strong sons. The thunder of their mirth vibrates upon the shining rocks and spills in floods of rolling music on the hills. Action and flesh cohere in one clean fusion of force with form. The very ethers breed wild harmonies of song. The frailest reed holds shackled thunder in its heart's seclusion. And every stone that lines my lonely way, sad tongueless nightingale without a wing, seems on the point of rising up to sing in donning scarlet for its dusty grey. How often have I lost this fervent mood, and gone down dingy thoroughfares to brood on evils like my own from day to day. Life is a dusty corridor, I say, shut at both ends. But far across the plain, old ocean growls and tosses his grey mane, pawing the rocks in all his old unrest, or lifting lazily on some white crest his pale foam feathers for the moon to burn. Then to my veins I feel new sap return. Strength tightens up my sinews, long grown dull, and in the old charred crater of the skull light strikes the slow somnambulistic mind, and sweeps her forth to ride the rushing wind, and stamping on the hilltops high in air, to shake the golden bonfire of her hair. The sudden strength that catches up men's souls and rears them up like giants in the sky, giving them fins for the dark ocean rolls, and wings of eagles when the whirlwinds fly, stands visible to me in its true self. No spiritual essence or winged elf like Ariel on the empty wings to spin. I see him as a mighty terrapin, rafting whole islands on his stormy back, built of strong metals molten from the black roots of the inmost earth. A great machine, thoughtless and fearless, governing the clean system of active things. The winds and currents are his primeval thoughts, the raging torrents are moods of his, and men who do great deeds are but the germs his awful fancy breeds. For when the winds have ceased their ghostly speech, and the long waves roll moaning from the beach, the flaming terrapin that towed the ark rears up his hump of thunder on the dark, and like a mountain, seamed with rocky scars, tufted with forest, barnacled with stars, crinkles white rings as from its ancient sleep into a foam of life he wakes the deep. His was the crest that from the angry sky tore down the hail. He made the boulders fly like balls of paper, splintered icebergs, hurled lassos of dismal smoke around the world, and like a bunch of crisp and crackling straws, coughed the sharp lightning from his craggy jaws. His was the eye that blinked beyond the hill after the fury of the flood was done, and breaching from the bottom, cold and still, Leviathan reared up to greet the sun. Perched on the stars around him in the air, white angels rinsed the moonlight from their hair, and the Drowned trees into new flowers unfurled as it sank, dreaming down upon the world. As he rolled by, all evil things grew dim. The devil, who had scoffed, now slunk from him and sat in hell, dejected and alone, rasping starved teeth against an old dry bone. Before the coral reared its sculptured fern or the pale shellfish, swinging in the waves with pointed steeples, had begun to turn the rocks to shadowy cities. In dark caves, the deep and drowsy poisons of the sea mixed their corrosive strength with horny stones, and coaxed new substances from them to be the ponderous material of his bones. The waves by slow erosion did their part, shaping his heavy bonework from the mass, and in that pillared temple grew a heart that branched with mighty veins, through which to pass his blood, that filtered the tangled mesh, built walls of gristle, clogged each hollow gap with concrete vigor, till through bone and flesh flowed the great currents of electric sap, while thunder clanging from the cloudy rack of elemental hammers fierce and red, tempered the heavy target of his back, and forged the brazen anvil of his head. Freed from the age-long agonies of birth, this living galleon oars himself along and roars his triumph over all the earth until the sullen hills burst into song. His beauty makes a summer to the land, and where he crawls upon the solid ground, gigantic flowers, exploding from the sand, spread fans of blinding color all around. His voice has roused the amorphous mud to life. Dust thinks, and tired of spinning in the wind, stands up to be a man and feel the strife of deep thoughts in the jungle of his mind. The Lephron, the primal cowboy, first heard that wild summons on the stillness bird as, from the dusty mesa leaping free, he slewed his white-winged bronco out to sea, and shaking loose his flaming coils of hair, shot whistling up the smooth blue roads of air. As he rose up, the moon with slanted ray ruled for those rapid hoofs a shining way, and streaming from their caves, the sirens came riding on seals to follow him. The flame of their moon-tinseled limbs had flushed the dim green depths, and as when winds in autumn sting gold acres, rustling plume with fiery plume, their long hair flickered skyward in the gloom, tossed to the savage rhythms of their tune. Till, far across the world, the rising moon heard, ghost-like, in the embered evening sky, their singing fade into a husky sigh, and splashed with stars and dashed with stinging spray, the dandy of the prairies rode away. That voice on Samson's mighty sinews rang as on a harp's tense chords. Each fiber sang in all his being, rippling their strings of fire. His nerves and muscles, like a wondrous lyre, vibrated to that sound. And through his brain proud thoughts came surging in a gorgeous train. He rose to action, slew the grumbling bear, hauled forth the flustered lion from its lair, and swung him yelping skyward by the tail. Tigers he mauled, with tooth and ripping nail rending their straps of fire, and from his tracks slithered like quicksilver, pouring their black and liquid coils before his pounding feet. He drove the livid mambas of deceit. Oppression, like a starved hyena, sneaked from his loud steps. Tyranny, vulture-beaked, rose clapping iron wings, and in a cloud of smoke and terror, wove its own dark shroud as he strode by, and in his tossing hair rippled the sunshine, sang the morning air. Like a great bell clanged in the winds of time, linking the names of heroes, chime by chime that voice rolled on, and as it filled the night, strong men rose up, thrilled with the huge delight of their own energy. Upon the snows of Ararat gigantic Noah rose, stiffened for fierce exertion, like the thong that strings a bow before its arrow strong sings on the wind, and from his great fists hurled red thunderbolts to purify the world.